Welcome to the Founders Chat. I am Alan, former Google engineer, serial entrepreneur, and somebody who knows firsthand how messy building companies can be. Today we have Francisco Hernandez from Manir and Doppel. Welcome, Francisco.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with you telling us what Manir is and the pivot or the new project that you're working on now called Doppel.
Okay, so Manir is an AI consulting firm. We started as a boutique 6 years ago, working for large institutions, specifically in the credit space. So we were working to solve the 2008 crisis, to identify which bad loans that were already in the funds and in the big banks were going to be collected, how and when. So that was the beginning. We did that for a few large banks, large institutions, and then we started working in other areas like logistics, customer support. And that's been a really fun ride and a tough ride also. And now we're kind of spinning off a small product called Doppel that is focused on the revenue activation using, of course, AI agents like anyone is doing right now. And it's going to be also quite a fun ride.
Okay, so tell me, what were you doing before starting Manir in 2019, right?
Yeah, more or less. So I was working first I've been an entrepreneur since quite a young age. My first company was at the moment that I started university, 17, 18 years old. And of course, it was a complete failure. It was the first learnings. But I wanted to be an entrepreneur since then. Then I tried some other things. I started working in strategy consulting back in 2018. It was also some sort of entrepreneurial because it was a really cool company. They just went public in Italy and they were opening their office in Madrid. So I was the first hire. It was really fun, lots of learnings. I enjoyed working with a really talented team there. And right after Alchemy, which was the company, I started Manir. So it was also a time where I think I was finding something new to do. Working in consulting just like became a bit repetitive in terms of the projects that we were doing. We were doing digital strategy. Of course, I was starting to work in AI, but I wanted to go back to the roots and try it on my own. So yeah, it was just like coming out from consulting to start another consulting firm. But yeah, it's that.
Okay, that's nice. So you were too bored working for another company, and
that's critical part of the learning, not just in hard skills and soft skills, but also in finding really talented people that I really enjoyed working with. And of course, those connections just last forever if you keep them. From the core team at Alchemy, the CEO was an entrepreneur. He had been the CEO of a Groupon in Spain. Also, my boss, he became then the founder of Alpian, which is a really cool digital neobank in Switzerland. My other colleague also is now an entrepreneur. And we have a good cohort of ex-Alchemy.
it's amazing. You have been always surrounded by entrepreneurs. So you've never really been in corporate, right?
Well, my customers are corporates, so that's the way that I'm in corporate. But yeah, I think that I don't get on really well with some of the strict procedures that you have at corporates. And in fact, the CEO of Alchemy, he came from Bain, and my manager came from BCG. He said to me as a feedback, "You wouldn't work out at McKinsey because you just hate all the strict procedures and just go with the flow and build things and go on," which is quite cool for one thing, a sort of things, but it's like a double-edged sword. What is good for being an entrepreneur maybe is not good for fitting in a corporate role. And maybe you know it from working at Google, coming from entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
you have to fit in a square box.
it's really interesting because I could have expected you coming from consulting, but like corporate consulting, to be able to understand what they need and sell to them. But you skipped that part. That's amazing.
Well, the thing at the end of the day, you just have to ask the right questions and see where they have the pain. And that doesn't like differ from selling AI to a large bank than to selling, I don't know, street food. Okay, this guy is hungry. He's hungry. I just have to sell him a sandwich.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is there something about your early story that most people don't know?
Well, I think that I've never hidden many things, but yeah, I don't know. Coming from, it is interesting trying to understand where the entrepreneurial kind of drive comes from. Because, I mean, my parents, they are both university full professors, and they always wanted me to follow the, hey, you finish your degree, you do a PhD, then you go to whatever top university and become a full-time professor, investigate and write a lot of papers. And it was pretty fun because as I was building the company, like the conversation with my parents was always, hey, and why don't you start then and finish this other degree and you do some publication. So it's like pretty weird how I ended up here, because of course in my family, some of my uncles, they are entrepreneurs, but from my direct family, and I have no brothers or sisters, it's like I should have followed a completely academic different route, and it's the opposite, 180 degrees.
Yeah. I think all entrepreneurs, we experience similar situations. In my case, it was like I started my first company when I was 16 with a friend. We were doing websites, pretty simple stuff. But then during the years during university, I was doing things. And at some point, when I got the job in Google, it was my second corporate job. My mom was like, okay, so you're settling, you're done with all that stuff. So you get a good salary. You don't need to work 80 hours per week. And after a while, I was so bored. I wanted to
No,
build something from scratch.
you sign the contract saying, okay, now let's think on the next thing to build.
Yeah, actually, I gave it my best try. I really wanted to make it work, but I don't know. Maybe it's like I was working in a super technical part of Google. It was we're not building new products. We
Hmm.
were just making sure they scale. It was in site reliability because I'm a software engineer, so I was working in the geek part of Google, trying to scale systems. So for me, it wasn't the most fun.
In the back end of the things.
Yeah, the back end of the back end.
And now you're back in the trenches.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Um, All right, so maybe we can focus on Doppel because Manir is a consulting company. But what about Doppel? You mentioned that it's top of funnel. No, sorry, bottom of funnel, right, to close deals.
Yeah.
So
At many, look, the reason that Doppel comes to life is at many, the starting idea was, okay, we're going to build a company that's going to become a product company without venture capital investment. So like on paper, it was like, oh, fuck, I'm a genius because we're going to use the margins from consulting to build product. Okay, that's bullshit. First, because it's not about just the economic margins that you use for building product. It's about the focus margins. And if you want to really execute well, which sometimes we've done well, sometimes we've failed, you really need to put 200% of your focus. And you either do one thing, you either do the other thing right. Of course, when you get to scale, you can reduce your focus from one side because you put an operator in one side. But we've tried, like, in Europe, we have the European summer where every customer goes on vacation. So we use that time to build POCs and products. And over this almost 6 years, we've made an MVP and then we killed it in October. Made an MVP and killed it. So then this time we said, fuck it, we're going to go all in and we're really going to build a product. So the core problem that we are trying to address is you have many marketing automation tools on top trying to drive top of funnel. But then speaking with customers, for example, online banks, they have a 30% account opening rate from people that try to open the account. That's 30%. So 70% just drops inside the funnel. In dental practices, you have 58% customer no-shows. That's people that had an appointment and then didn't show up to the appointment. If you speak with a group of 70 million euros in revenue, that's a large chunk of their potential revenue. And you see this problem going all over again. Mortgage applications for an online broker, 40% don't speak with an expert. So we said, okay, now there is a technology that is voice AI, AI agents in the form of text and any kind of channel that maybe can help solve this issue. So we are addressing the drop inside the funnel. I mean, we want to turn funnels into pipes. They shouldn't be a funnel. Of course, you're going to have some drop, but we need to solve that because it's getting more and more expensive to drive new customers in. So we need to solve that other part of the funnel. And that's Doppel. We're starting with healthcare, with healthcare appointments and healthcare no-shows, and right going into banking because that's kind of our natural space where we go and tend to go.
Okay, so for me to understand, I'm coming more from the B2C part of entrepreneurship. So usually you have funnels when user onboardings, right? Not necessarily sales, and then you use tools, analytic tools, to measure all the drops in the different parts of the funnel. And you have CRMs, B2C CRMs, for example, HubSpot, or you have Braze for mobile, and you can automate campaigns to try to reduce the drops. For example, if somebody enters the onboarding, they put the first name, last name, email, but in the next step, we're asking for more information and they just leave. Because we have the email, we can send an email, like a reminder, like this kind of automations. So what you're trying to build is something similar, but to
Yeah,
close sales.
it's something similar, but with other new kind of interactions. Like with voice, imagine that a digital Alan calls one of the prospect customers that was about to close a sale and they don't close the sale. So you just call in, say, hey, I'm here to help you. I saw that you didn't finalize the purchase. What happened? How can I help you? And then he can either help finish that sale. For example, let's take it into to a banking customer. A lot of customers drop in the KYC, some of them because they are criminals and you don't want those customers in, and that's going to be a healthy drop. But some others are because they don't have their ID right now on spot, so they cannot do the ID verification. Some others are a bit conscious of, hey, what is this? So, or it's not the right timing to do a selfie because they are at work or at a conference. So you want to follow up on these guys because they are warm leads. They are not just noise. So you have new channels like voice AI, like WhatsApp, like SMS, email, and you can orchestrate it in a conversational way. So it doesn't feel like an automation. So it's kind of a hyper personalized outreach to inside funnel.
It's really impressive. I could be a bit skeptic about that, but I have one of my friends is working in 11 Labs in sales, and he's
Mhm.
telling me stories on how crazy the conversational AIs improve conversions. The numbers are insane, and yeah, probably you know that already.
Yeah, the fun part is that we're now running into the following questions. First question is, of course, we benchmark against the actual call centers that people have. And for example, in dental no-shows, we are reactivating at the same or even higher rates than the actual call center. But then what we're seeing is that the people that react, like they do a no-show, so we rebook with them. We call them, hey, you did a no-show, can you come back again? And then they say yes, and then you book again. But then the no-show rates of our reactivations are higher than the reactivations from the contact center. So the question here is it because people are less willing to keep a compromise they made with an AI than with a human? So that's the question. Is of course I did reactivate the guy, but then the word, like the value of the word of that person saying, "Hey, I will go," is lower when you made
Yeah,
a compromise with an AI. So that's what we are we're running into it right now.
I think it's a whole new field that we need to learn a lot, because there are some basic things missing when it's a machine speaking. You don't have accountability, and this is something that I did a bit of research, because in Nexuk we are giving the tools, giving the power to people to run online sessions to compete against agents, conversational agents. And one of the things that people value is accountability. But this it was always like that. I have friends paying a personal trainer to go to the gym a few days per week, and they've been doing that for years. And I ask, come on, like, you're spending a lot of money. You already know what to do. And the answer is no, but I pay because otherwise I wouldn't go to the gym on my own at 7 a.m. But if there is
That's
somebody
right.
waiting for me, yeah, it's an interesting
Man,
topic.
that's such an interesting rabbit hole that we could go there because of course, yeah, it's like now everyone is like always having AI and we oversaw voice AI because it's the new paradigm. It's like, fuck, I can speak with something and I can hardly realize that it's an AI. But then we find that issue of, hey, is the word given, does it have the same value when you make a compromise with a human or with an AI? And of course, we're going to have soon in August next year, we're going to have mandatory in Europe to say that, hey, you're speaking to an AI. So of course, you can use the 11 labs and make it sound as much human as possible. Then if you have to say, hey, this is an AI, then you're cooked. So that's an interesting psychology topic.
I think my opinion is it's going to be another step in the funnel. I think
Mhm.
at the end, at least when it makes sense, when the ticket is big enough, the last step, it could be a human probably, right? But we could try before with AI, like it happened with the automatic emails. Like we already have
Mhm.
automations. It's not
Sure.
voice. Now we have voice, and I think it's better than everything else we had before. But still, accountability will have a place.
Look, yeah, it's just like you say. For example, what you were saying is really similar to, as I told you at the beginning, we were working with credit, with loan defaults, and the way that the large loan services manage this is typically they have a threshold. Loans below 100k euros, they go through a contact center, and loans above 100k, they have their internal specialist team that they go and visit themselves. So we're gonna have that threshold too. I mean, contracts or opportunities below a certain threshold, they're going to be full AI, but then you don't want to fuck up on the high value. So that's where the human loop comes in and how you really address the problem. I mean, it's not black or white. It's always a gray.
Yeah, definitely. I fully agree. All right. So let's go back to you now. So are you a 5 a.m. founder? What does your calendar look like on a regular day?
It's difficult to find time to really focus on a hard task and then go and do it all in. When I started, I was a night owl completely. I mean, I would just go to the gym at 8 p.m. and then just shower, you have some dinner, and from you can work until 3 a.m. And that was kind of my sweet spot. Then I got married, then I had two kids, and now you cannot do that. I right now I have to go back to do some sport because it clears your mind. Right now, what I'm doing is I tend to find my deep work hours early in the morning. Like, of course, I try to wake up at 5:36, and I try to do something up there before everything comes up. Because at the end of the day, after working the entire day, eating the kids and bedding the kids, I cannot do anything else. I completely ruined right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, now it's more of kind of a morning routine.
And was that easy? Because I had the same problem. I always struggle to wake up in the mornings, but it's the only way I can be consistent with sports, for example, because the afternoons sometimes you just have meetings or work, and I go. I was doing this in the past. I was going to the gym or going for a run and checking my
Mhm.
Slack and my email. So it's hard to disconnect. But in the morning, everybody else is sleeping.
That's the same thing applied at night. I mean, I was like at 3 a.m. now, no one is going to write me, so I can just flow. Um, Look, I have my daughter here, so calling me. So yeah, that's the. I had the same issue that you had when I started going to the gym. I was like, fuck, I'm going to the gym to unplug a bit and to disconnect. But then I'm just checking my phone, having calls and whatever. So that's why I started going to CrossFit and to doing rock climbing and things that I could not open my phone at that time. So it was just like 1 hour complete disconnect, and boom, I was back in the mood. So like doing these kind of activities helped me a lot because you really need to describe. Then the really tough time for me has been like moving to Portugal with my wife without help from my grandparents or my wife, and having the second kid, because then like the split of work doesn't work. You have two kids, really like 2 years old and 7 months old, the other one, and you need to be like fully on them. So that's really tough for disconnecting. I stopped doing sport, and that's taken a really high toll on me because at the end of the day, I just wake up, come to my home office, work at 6 a.m., work. Then you go have lunch, quick lunch, back. And then you have to help with kids, and then you're ruined, and then you don't do any sport. So I think that it's really important to break that routine. And right now I'm trying to go back to that because at the end of the day, you just go and put more coffee in, then you go coffee, Monster, and start taking like this kind of like ways to really increase your attention or your productivity. But then it, you're going to break up at the end if you continue doing that. So I used this past August to reduce my coffee intake from 5 to 6 coffees a day to just one in the morning. I had a bit of a withdrawal syndrome, but now I'm back. Now it's good. Now
Nice.
I'm just with
Yeah,
water.
I've been in this vicious circle of I stopped doing sports because I need to work more, and then after a couple of months not doing sports, I need more sleep. So this happens to me. So basically, the time I was using to go to the gym, now I'm sleeping. But to break the circle is really hard because you need to sleep less, be more tired, start doing sports, and then you go back to the routine. But
Yeah, I
it's
think that
pretty tough.
this is going to be the year where I can find it back because for me, when I was a night owl, the best time to do sports was like I said, you go to CrossFit at 8 p.m. Then I had a cold shower until 3 a.m. because that like woke me up huge. Then when I couldn't do that, I just went at lunchtime, which is kind of the best time to restart the day for me. But now I cannot do it at the end of the day because that wakes me up so much, and then I have to wake up at 6 a.m. So it's like fuck. It's like taking coffee at night, and I should do it in the morning. So it's like, well, but in the morning is when I can work. So it's kind of difficult, and you really need it. It's not just a physical or aesthetic thing. It's just something for your mind. So hard. I mean, and if you're finding it right now, that's good.
Yeah. I went back. Usually, what I do is I sign up for a marathon, and then yeah, it's the only way because I think I'm going to suffer so much if I don't train.
Fuck man.
Yeah.
And then you end up doing Ironmans.
No, I thought about it, but I think it's way too much time to train.
Mhm.
Training for a marathon is like 1 hour per day, more or less, 7 days a week. Like in
Mhm.
between, you need to do a little bit of weights and also a lot of running, long
Yeah,
runs as well, once a week. But then an Ironman is like a marathon is 1/3 of the Ironman.
man,
You
it's
have
crazy.
it's too much. So nice. And what about tough moments that you remember that you need to take tough decisions like pivot or I don't know, co-founder that left? You tell me.
We had a co-founder that had to leave once, and it's tough because I recognize that one of the things that I don't do well and that I need to work on is the notion of the hire slow, fire fast, and that is really tough because when I don't have the experience of working at a corporate job, and maybe that's easier at a corporate job because it's a decision of the corporate to let you go, whatever. But being the founder and being such a small team, you like really feel like okay, this guy is part of this thing. We're on the same boat, and you can either have the way of course, there are founders that are able to do this, and they are like really cold and say, this guy is taking me away from my goal of making this $1 billion company. So just go away, and they're able to cut clean really fast. But I'm on the other side of, I think I can try and get this guy back on board. The truth and the hard truth is that once you think for the first time, okay, is this guy worth to work at my company and with me? Once you had the first time you have that doubt in your mind, you have to fire because that means that inside something has passed a threshold that you are uncomfortable with it. So but the natural thing as human beings, oh, I'm going to try and coach him, give him an opportunity. It's really hard to mentally be able to switch from the first time that you said, oh, I cannot trust this guy. So it's like in consulting, when you find a typo. So, I mean, when you start working as a junior in strategy consulting, it's like, oh, the senior is just finding my typo, and that is not a thing about finding a typo that you forgot an accent or whatever. It's the thing that if I find this really small error, I cannot trust the rest of the document. So if I don't, and what is going to happen is that if I find one typo, I'm going to review every single assumption, every single thing in the document. So it's the same thing. The same thing applies. So if you once distrust one guy and doubt that he's worth working with you, then you're going to work in a completely different way with him for the rest of the time.
Yeah,
And that's tough.
it's a really tough one because sometimes I used to be more like what you're describing, but then over time, and I might be wrong now, I don't know. I tend to think that sometimes it's good to have different opinions. You know, where is the limit about having somebody that thinks different and can be positive, or somebody that is going to boycott your plans? You know, so and I struggled a lot to.
No, and of course there are different things. One is the having different opinions, like, hey, we should do this. We should put this button blue or green. Okay, that's different opinion, and it can be boiled down to something that okay, fine. But then there's other things like maybe quality or direction that okay, you say that you have to go that way, and that's the way that we're doing, and we're compromised, and then it's going completely the other way, or it's not pushing. So that's there are like of course different kind of differences. But I think that once that you first time think might have to fire this guy, you do have to fire this guy.
Yeah, most likely, I agree with this one.
But and those are like the toughest moments because I mean, small teams, you like to work together, and you also have personal stories, so stuff. You have to do it.
Okay, and now going a bit to the product part of Doppel, because it's as I understand, it's your first time building a product from scratch. So how did you do that? I assume you had to assemble an engineering team, product team. Tell me a bit about it.
We we're doing it kind of in the scrappy way. So that is, we don't like to build product without a customer. I think that's assuming that you have huge knowledge and huge intelligence that no one else has, and you're going to come up with something that out of the box, out of the blue, is going to fit the market. You need feedback, constant feedback. So we're building this with one or two customers. That's the first thing. And we're trying to, of course, get some revenues as this product revenues are lower than the cost. So it's not consulting. And that's what allows you to keep the ownership of the product. The way that we are doing it is, of course, we're using AI. And AI has changed so much the way we build product. And it's the reason why this iteration is not going to fail like the others. Because in the others, you had to go first to a designer and get a Figma file. And then with the Figma file, you have to find someone in the front end to build the front end, build the back end, do all those things. Now we just dropped the Figma stage. So it's me directly with V0 from Versal who creates the front end. And there is no teléfonos cacharrado, how you say in English. There's no miscommunication or like loss of information.
Communication overhead where information is lost.
Yeah, the broken telephone. There's no broken telephone between what I have in mind, what the customer told me, and the implementation. Just prompt, do this, this, and that, and I get it on the front end, instant feedback. And then I change, I iterate. So once I have the full front end, we go and create the tables to support that front end on the back end. And we go super base, click and do it. And then you have to make all the logic. If you have an AI agent where you build it, we first started building on an A10. That doesn't work for scale. It worked for the first 10 iterations, but then we switched to our internal framework. Yeah, you start like creating this scaling little by little.
Yeah.
But you go so much faster now with AI that is freaking unimaginable. Unimaginable what you can do now.
Yeah, it's amazing. We are doing something similar. It's a bit more tricky for B2C because to validate, you need something. Right? You need something, and this something, the standards are raising because people are used to seeing more complete products.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, I remember you could validate things with the form, right? And we're doing this as well. Like we did validate something with the type form, but then the conversions and everything is not the same.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're struggling a little bit, but yeah, I fully agree. AI changed the paradigm on how companies are built.
Just curious, and which AI tools are you using right now for development, for product iteration?
For AI tools in general, I
Yeah,
mean, everybody's using ChatGPT and Perplexity, but then
man, I've never finally gotten to use Perplexity. I mean, I know many people that use it, but is there really value on top of what ChatGPT search can give you?
yes,
Like, do you find? Yeah.
to do market research is amazing because ChatGPT tries to write something that is beautiful and makes sense, even if the information is not fully correct. You can, for example, ask ChatGPT to do a market research, and then you copy paste this to Perplexity and tell, find the sources and validate that the information is correct. And Perplexity could search on the different sources and will list you which sources were used and everything.
Cool.
So it's
Yeah,
more.
I'll give it a try because right now the way that I'm doing it is just I run a deep research and then I prompt on top of that deep research. I'm
So
gonna give it a try.
give it a try, and if you have Revolut with a metal plan, I think it's a metal plan. You get it for free. I'm getting Perplexity cheaper than if I paid the monthly subscription. Yeah.
That's a
And
hack.
then I was thinking, what's the name of the tool that the devs are using? They are using Cursor. It's for
And
the coding
the
part. I am coding from time to time. Now that we did the pivot and we need to launch super fast, I was coding, but I was using flat ChatGPT with the MCP protocol. You can connect it to the IDE, so it's pretty nice. And then Figma. I don't know if you use Figma. I don't remember the name of the Figma AI.
that's Figma Make, I think.
Yes, I know our product designer is using this one.
Mhm.
And we're using other small AI tools for different things. For example, for outreach, I think I mentioned I'm using Lemlist,
Yeah,
and they have pretty cool AI features now.
fantastic. I'm gonna give it a try
Yeah.
when we have to do the outreach.
So in your case, well, you mentioned already, but I didn't know that with Vercel you could prompt and it would generate the code.
Yeah, it's called V0 and it does all the front end. It's amazing. And it does it pretty well. It's a really good tool. That's kind of the our designer right now is just myself with V0. Sometimes you have to prompt it really well in terms of, hey, don't change any other thing other than this, because sometimes it might go just nuts and creative and change everything. But you have versions and you can really easily go back and roll back to a previous version. So that's kind of the one that I stick for.
Then what is the plan? Because my understanding is that, for example, Vercel or Lovable, or there is now Webflow AI as well, it can generate products, like websites products. But the way I see it is it's more for prototyping. So this is for the validation part. At which point do you think you're going to say, okay, this is validated. Now I need to assemble a product team.
No, we do already have that. I mean, I create the prototype with V0, and then once I have something that I like, I just download the zip file or just link it to a repo, and then we have a front end guy that is part time helping us, and I tell him, hey Nate, just add the authentication, fix all the errors. I think that this isn't that. It's something like you can find things that prompting your way out is much harder than just telling a front-end designer, a developer, hey, fix this. So might be something stupid with the axis of the graphs that sometimes it gets it wrong, or the margins, some more like visual things that is more difficult to explain the AI what you're seeing. So I just download the zip file or link it to the repo and tell him, hey, Nate, this is things. And now we have the main repo. When we either want to iterate or something, I just pull the repo, like the final thing that Nate has, back to V0. I change or I add something new, and then I go back and say, hey, this has the new feature. Check it again and put it back into the final file. So it's like a really streamlined process where we integrate AI in a way that it doesn't break things. So we don't let the AI just change anything in production without someone looking into it.
Makes sense.
So it just helps make iterations a lot faster.
Cool. And for the backend, you mentioned that you build the backend, define the tables and everything. You are using something like a cloud service, not
No, I mean, we have the database in Supabase, authentication also with Supabase, and then every other thing we have to run in Google Cloud in our own infra. So yeah, that's kind of the way. We did use NA10 as I said for the agents, but you cannot scale with that, and it's tough.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So is there something you think most people are underestimating?
I think in what sense in the market?
Yes, I'm thinking about technology, but it can be in the job market or the startup ecosystem. I don't know.
I think that we might be underestimating, as always, the ease and pace of implementation, like how fast you can change happens, like change management, both from a technology perspective, like how fast you can integrate new AI systems into the existing systems without breaking everything. And just a new paper showed us like, hey, 90%, 95% of the AI pilots are failing. Of course, I mean, that was going to happen. And the same happened in the previous years with machine learning. And they were saying, hey, 90% of the machine learning projects never reach production. So that's one thing that we typically underestimate from like technology wise. And then people wise, I think that we are underestimating the impact that is going to have all the AI shift into the psychology, into the people, and into the job market, like everything. We did underestimate the impact that the social networks were going to have in the psychology of people, and now you have all these weird things happening in society. And I think that the same is going to happen. Like people are going to get engaged to an AI or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be interesting.
I agree. Think, well, if people are going to get engaged with an AI, I don't know. Hopefully not. But I think we definitely don't understand the capabilities of AI. I think we are like back in 1997, like when the internet was there, uh, the full potential. 1997, people saw 1% of the potential of internet, right? And I think now we're at the same stage with AI.
Yeah, there's this really cool video of David Bowie being interviewed by a guy. I don't know if it's from CNN or whatever, like back in the 90s, speaking about the internet. The guy was saying, like David Bowie was saying, and you wouldn't imagine him as an internet guy. It's like, oh, it's a rock star, doesn't know about shit about technology, but he was saying that no, it was going to change everything, like the interaction between the human and the machine, like everything was going to change thanks to the internet. And then the interview says back, hey, but isn't it just like a communication protocol between machines? I said, no, it's an alien life form. Is the life on Mars? Yes, it is. And he just said that. So I think it's the same. I mean, we are not even grasping what is going to happen. There's people saying that LLMs are not the way, like Jellican and all these things that are not going to be the way of really achieving human level intelligence. But man, what we have right now is pretty cool intelligence. Of course, it's not human level intelligence, but I mean, it's something that can help solve many problems. And one of the issues that you can have with AI is the dependency that it can create. And it's one of the things that Sam Altman said, like the silent takeover, which is that maybe in a few years, even the president of the United States cannot make a decision without asking GPT-7 or whatever we have then. So it's like creating a dependency that you cannot do or even write an email without asking the AI for their opinion on if it's right
Yeah,
or wrong.
I think we're definitely going there in that direction. But it already happened with so many other technologies over the last, I don't know, 100 years, right?
Sure. I mean, that's why I say that there are two things that we are underestimating. First, the ease of implementation, that the integration is really hard and we're not going to get there so fast. I mean, job losses are not going to happen so fast. They will happen. And it's like, oh, they're not happening. And they're like the frog in the hot water. But then the other thing is the societal impact. And I don't know where that's going to take us. I mean, I think that we're going to end up planting tomatoes and potatoes and living in the countryside again, back in nature.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. But yeah, definitely big changes are coming.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
All right. Now, I have a more philosophical question for you. How
Let's
do you
go. I like those.
find success?
Shit. I mean, a fisherman with their family and just a quiet life in by the sea can be more successful than a $1 million entrepreneur from Y Combinator. That's the first assumption that I have. So given that comes back to what really brings you happiness, and happiness in a whole sense. I always look it back to you have some capabilities. Some people have the capability of or gifts, or you're gifted to play the piano, and then the way for you to succeed or to be happy is to really evolve that capability. If you don't train that capability, I mean, you could be like a Mozart by capabilities or by gift that you have. But if you don't train that and if you don't exercise that, you're not gonna get there. And I think all the flow, like getting into flow and all these like psychological things are about a mixture between your capabilities and a high expectation of what you want to get out. So you have a good ratio between the exigence, like what you're asking for and what you can do. And I think that success is being able to live in that space for the longest time you can. Because you hear so many stories about people that sell their company for so many millions. And then I found myself empty. I don't know what to do. Why? Because man, success for you was to be building that thing, being in that hard endeavor, pursuing all those things. And now that you solved it, you just lost your purpose. I think that success is being able to step out away from what the outside can tell you, which is, hey, just success is to have so many figures in your bank account or whatever. Of course, you need money to pay things and food or that, but you need to be able to understand with your gifts and what you really have inside you, how you're going to be like lonely happy. Of course, like for me, having a family is really tough. I mean, it's really tough right now for me to like be able to take care of my kids and my wife is a fucking superhero for being able for allowing me to do this. But just like you have these hard times and then just one single good moment with your kids, like erases everything, erases all the bad. So I think that success comes down to that, to knowing what your gifts are and being able to live in that zone for the longest time of your life.
Yeah, on the enjoying the journey and keeping this motivation. Somebody told me if you have if you're trying to solve it was another founder. If you're trying to solve a problem that's big enough, you have motivation for life. And I think he was referring to something similar. It's like you're always working in something that fulfills you, and you get good at it, and you're never it's never ending. Whenever you manage to fully solve that problem, and then you have an existential crisis.
Sure, that's completely right. So and the journeys for sure they can change. I mean, you can sell your company because you want to pursue this other thing that is your new journey, and that's completely fine. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not advocating for no one to ever cash out or do whatever. Is that every person is going to have a different purpose in life, and you need to really find it. And the thing is that right now it's really tough because the noise ratio that everyone is subject to is really high. So it's not easy or it's really difficult to find these moments of understanding what you really need to do in life.
Yeah.
I don't even know it myself. I mean, so I'm not I'm not some kind of monk that knows the purpose. I mean, every single day I'm trying to figure out, oh fuck, do I really want to go and pursue the product path, or am I like fine in consulting? I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find it.
Yeah, I think it happens to everybody, right? Hopefully, I always think hopefully in a few years, super clear. And now I think it is, but when it's tough, makes you rethink about things, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love to climb big mountains, and I've gone to the Alps many times, and now when I was training for that, I had like this goal. Oh, I want to climb this mountain, and my way when I was working in Madrid, it was like I would wake up like at 4, 5 a.m., get in the car, put the skis back in the car, like when everything was like snowy, climb the mountain with the skis at the back, go down skiing, go to the office. We had a shower at the office, and boom, I started the day. That was my training. So it was
Nice.
pretty damn crazy. And then I climbed these mountains. And I moved to Lisbon. I said, "Fuck, I don't have mountains here, and I have 2 kids." So now I'm trying to refine my purpose in terms of that thing. I was gonna go climb one mountain
Yeah.
in
But
Nepal, and I had to cancel it because of my second kid.
yeah, but I think there is a lot of discipline in this specific training that you're mentioning. And I agree with that. Sometimes I believe you can do something and you can do something great just out of discipline, even if you're
But
not
it's
motivated.
discipline or obsession,
Yeah,
because one thing can mask the other.
yeah, exactly. I think that they are quite related. So, one example is with training to run. Training for a marathon is like building a startup. 90% of the days you don't want to, or you are too tired to work 12 hours per day, but you need to do it.
Mhm.
And it's the same. You need to train almost every day, even if it's dark and raining, and you keep doing it because you have a goal. And I think it's related. And it's really easy to get lost in this obsession. Maybe you are going in the wrong direction, but you became obsessed because you want to achieve the goals, and it's really hard. Uh, but I guess this is what keeps us going,
Yeah,
pursuing the
sure. I mean,
dreams.
that's really fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Cool. So now imagine that your 22 years old self goes to your office and asks you for advice. What will you tell him?
I mean, I wouldn't want to change anything. I mean, because even the bad things like help you to get where you are. Maybe just one thing, like maybe just don't fucking waste time in social media or whatever. I mean, that's that's the thing that really like gives me like it's like fuck. I don't want to be 80 years old and think back and said I spent so many hours just scrolling through Twitter. I think that that's the only thing. Like you can use all that time for reading, learning, going out, touch grass, whatever.
Yeah,
But for the rest, I mean, nothing. Even all the hard things are good.
that's a good one. Actually, I think what I could tell him is just the same, because I would especially change the tough moments because those are the ones you learn the most.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, it's like
You know,
just do the
sorry.
thing.
People say that the smartest people learn from everybody.
Hmm.
Normal people learn from experiences, and not very intelligent people, they don't ever learn, right? I think I learn from experiences, but I experienced a lot and
Man, now and with the
fast.
podcast, no, but man, now with this, you're trying to learn from other people. So don't say that. I mean, that's cool.
I am trying, but experience says otherwise. I just need to do and do and do.
Well, that's because we just keep on fucking up on the same things. I mean, we're human.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah, yeah,
we would be a GPT version. Well, not even because these guys they hallucinate more than us.
yeah. Um. All right. So, is there anything that you wish you knew before starting Manir, your first company?
I think it goes back to the 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 time that it takes to really execute and get things fully done. You tend to want to go too fast, and maybe that also affects the team. So it's like, hey, we want to do this and that. Okay, we kind of ship this little thing. It's working. Let's go to the next thing. I think that I underestimate the time and effort that it takes to do something hard. So it's like, oh, you want to build this? Oh, fantastic. That's just a few hours. We do this and that, and we get this out. I completely underestimate the time, and maybe that also burns some people in the team because I live in another timeline reality,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which of course at the end of the day it happens. It's a mixture between my expectation and the ground truth. But also, if you don't push, I mean, you're gonna get the same results as the other teams.
Yeah. I think this is something. we all founders have in common. We are too optimistic because otherwise we wouldn't start a business, like
You wouldn't do that. I mean, the odds are like really bad.
if you think, okay, this is going to take 3 months to build, I'm going to get this many customers, it makes sense, I'm going to start. And then most likely it's going to take twice as long, like 6 months, 4 times more money, and you're going to have 5 times less customers. So
Right.
if you knew the truth, you couldn't do it, right?
That's completely true. I mean, we always underestimate there's this flag that I think that Peter Levels like sold or did something, which is, it's a flag that says, we are not doing this because it's easy, but because we thought it would be easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
man, I'm going to buy that flag and put it in the office when we have an office here in
yeah.
Portugal.
Can you send me a copy?
I'll send you a link. We were doing this because we thought it would be easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, I think why it works is because once you are there, you put in so many hours, so much money and effort that you just need to find a solution. And
Yeah, but
this
then
is,
it's because there are so many things that can go wrong in timing. You can try and launch, I don't know, Lovable. You could try and launch it like 3 years ago and it wouldn't have worked because why? Why? Because the technology was not there and the people were not there. So there's so many things that can go wrong that are not subject to what you do. That it's really difficult, of course, and that's why I don't like the people that say, "Oh, this was all because of me." No, it was because of you and because of so many other factors that just happen to be there. So you have to be, of course, really hardworking, but you also need to have a bit of luck, bit
yeah,
of or quite a lot.
yeah,
So and for me, part of the luck is you only get like Sam Altman says it. Life is not a dress rehearsal. It's like the show itself. So finding out what you really want to spend this time working on. I mean, you have high opportunity cost. So like, is this what I want to be doing, or do I want to be working in the energy sector, like storage of energy, which is also a hard problem to work on? I mean, that's a bit of luck.
yeah, fully agree. All right. And if you have to send a message to your customers today, which message would you send?
Higher us versus the Doppel. It's going to be better than Salesforce or whatever.
Cool. And investors? I know you've been speaking with investors, right?
Yeah, just trust that we will make it. We've been able to grow a bootstrap company, so we know how to manage cash efficiently. Now we just need a bit of rocket fuel to go faster.
Yeah. And I would add, I think it's a perfect timing to be building what you're building now with Doppel.
Yeah,
Investors.
let's hope that we don't get a backlash in AI because of the GPT-5 launch. Because it was a bit of it's not so good. Well, it is good, but yeah,
At the end, GPT-5 is aggregating all the other models. That's why it's slower. It's choosing whatever is better.
it's a router.
Yeah. And what is your superpower as a founder?
It's like I think that is the same that is my weakness, which is the optimism, and because it's what makes you really a founder, which is we can do it. I mean, it's that, yeah. I mean, we'll figure it out. So I think that provides trust both to customers and to the team and to the rest of the people that you have to work with. Because at the end of the day, like sales is not a maths problem; it's a trust problem. So you need to be able to tell your customers, "Hey, you can trust me to solve this problem of yours." And for being able to say that, you need to be really optimistic. Right? Because I mean, I started Manir 24 years old and going to CaixaBank and saying, "Hey, you can hire us to solve this big non-default loans problem with us." I mean, have to be optimistic.
Cool. Uh, all right. So from today's conversation, we agree that founders need to be optimistic. It can be an advantage, but also it can be challenging when we overestimate
It's a
how.
double-edged sword. It's both a strength and a weakness.
Yeah, we fully agree on that. We also covered how AI is shaping entrepreneurship. The process of building today is different than the process of building a few years ago. And also, I love the discussions about what's going to happen in the future with AI? Is somebody going to engage with an AI? I guess we'll see.
I mean, we're 7 billion people in the planet. Someone is going to be like, dumb enough to do that.
Someone is probably already married with an AI.
100%.
All right. Thank you very much, Francisco. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. It was really, really fun to speak with you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.